And we're on. All right. Welcome to the latest podcast with, the volume is good. Just had to double check there with my first international guest. Say hello there, Nikki.
G'day. How
All
are you?
right. She's Australian if you haven't already noticed from her accent. All right, Nikki, just to let the listeners know, you can tell them a small bit about yourself and a little bit about your background there and where you're based and what you're currently doing.
Sure. Hi, Coleman. Lovely to chat to you. I am in Sydney, Australia. I have my brand is Miss Organic, and everything I do is towards educating people about the importance of pretty much what you do: eating organic food, being healthy, getting outdoors, living a healthy lifestyle. And I think the same as you, I'm all about sharing from my own experience and what I've seen with others. And I'm constantly learning and then sharing what I've learnt. And at the moment, I'm working towards, everything I do is working towards increasing the demand for organic food, Australia-wide and worldwide. So teaching people the importance and the necessity of eating organic and why we do it, as well as different projects to teach people, to get the organic food out there. But also in the last year, I've done a lot more work with organic and biodynamic farmers, and I like sharing their story and what it takes, sharing what it takes to bring their food to our tables, and really the importance of all of that, which is all of what you do. So on the same page.
We actually never haven't actually met in person yet. You did visit Ireland, and you will hopefully in the future as well. We're going to hook up as well. And
yes.
I
can't wait.
It's going to be a cracker. But so you're traveling internationally, which is great too, and spreading the world, and not only your viewpoint, but the benefits of these nutritious vegetables that can be gotten, we'll say, locally. It can be sourced. And you're doing veg boxes on a Thursday, would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah.
You get them from farmers and you bring them to a certain position, a location, and
that's it.
And you make those veggie boxes, is it? That's
Well, I've been doing produce home delivery on and off for 12 years. And what happened 12 years ago, most of my life I've pretty much lived on antibiotics and always sick and always having health issues. And, my family were quite health conscious, and we always tried to, they always tried to get me to eat fruit and veg, and I did quite a bit. But I had a lot of issues, and I pretty much, until 12 years ago, coming on 13, I was constantly sick and had a lot of issues. And when I found organic food and started eating more, eating organic helped me, realize the benefits of, what I was eating. I ate more fruit and veg. I, changed my lifestyle. And so from that, the fruit and veg business that I started 12 years ago was pretty much an avenue where I would teach others and give others the benefits that I received from eating organic. So that's where it all started. Over the last 12 years, I've gone in and out of doing that business. It really, Miss Organic started in 2008 when I lived in Melbourne. And we developed that box service, and we delivered to over 200 homes around Melbourne each week. And it became quite big, but it's always been an outlet for me to share my passion. So I've been doing speeches, and I do workshops, events. So I go in and out of that. And at the moment I am running a co-op style service back in Sydney, which is my hometown. But I did get the opportunity to travel to Ireland earlier this year, and it's been something, or the place that I've, most wanted to travel for a very long time. I love the Irish people and the culture. And I was fascinated by the amount of organic food available there. And I also got, I was so lucky to go to the organic farm, Kenneth's farm in Galway, just outside Galway.
That's
Green Earth Organics.
Yeah, we'll tag him up in the show notes. Yeah, he's a great guy.
And just like, he showed me around, and he does, I think, 900 boxes a week all over Ireland too. And and what I like to do is when I travel, I like seeing what's out there with the organic food. And I was away for 3 weeks. It was my brother's wedding in France. And pretty much an organic cafe or restaurant or produce farmers markets or shop everywhere I was, even in the small towns. So I never had a problem getting organics, and I also never had a problem, the price. It's actually cheaper to eat the way that I was and going out and dining out. So yeah, I just love the availability in Ireland, and also the openness of people to, you know, to eating healthier and living healthier. And of course, you know, being vegan, there's a lot of that out there too. So yeah, I was really impressed with my Ireland trip. I only spent a week there, and yeah, I'm excited to get back.
That's
Hopefully
an
next
important
year.
point to touch on now that we have you here. The whole point of it, quote unquote, being more expensive. In fact, in the long run, it's actually going to be cheaper. And if you went to local farmer markets, you can actually get deals. You can haggle with the farmers. You can make it a weekly thing. They'll set you up a box, because there's plenty of farmers out there that grow this produce. It's all about you meeting the farmer, including myself being an organic grower, meeting those demands of those individuals who want it at a certain time, seasonal, because seasonal is, or getting it organic is important too, but it's seasonal, because you can't get tomatoes, especially in Ireland, at these local farmer markets, out of season, because that's just it. It's nature. Nature only has, and is important to touch on, they're actually grown like that for a reason. There's high vitamin C and antioxidants found in tomatoes that should be consumed in the summer, because they can prevent and protect you from UV rays. And some people don't actually know that. And then coming into the winter months, you have the likes of garlic, you have the likes of onions that'll protect you and improve your immune system. And they're coming into the colder months of the year to prevent you from getting sick down the line. And then as well as that, when you choose organic, some people don't know this, the organic produce is 100% clear of the likes of glyphosate, because it is a banned substance which is carcinogenic, which can cause chronic illnesses such as cancer. Okay, so then people,
it's not actually, you know what, glyphosate, it's not actually banned here in Australia, and it's banned there. Yeah, and this is why it's so important for us in Australia to eat organic, same as America, because there's so many chemicals. I was just reading up on it yesterday. There's so many chemicals that are banned overseas, especially in Europe, and they're readily used and available in our produce and our food here in Australia. And I wanted to touch on a point that you said about, first of all, eating seasonally. Yeah, when you've got the amount, you know, the variety of produce that we get all year, like you don't want to eat tomatoes in the winter, because there's so much variety and availability of everything else. Like we get mangoes organically here for a month and a half, maybe the cherries last 3 weeks, and I'll eat cherries till I'm done, and then there'll be another fruit. So it's like, yeah, our bodies naturally, and over the last 12 years, I've learned, like, and my body is ready for the next fruit to come on. And, you know, when persimmons come on, it's like, yes, it's going into autumn, and the figs. And then, you know, you don't get sick of anything, and that's beautiful to eat in season. But the other thing with the price, people say that organic's more expensive, but the most important thing is to connect with our food. And that's what I really love sharing. And it's so important that when you see what our farmers go through to get food on the table, and when you see what happens in conventional farms and what they're putting on the produce and the illnesses that it's causing, and there's research out on it, and it's proven not only scientifically, but you get anyone who goes organic for a week, a month, a year, and you feel the benefits and you see the benefits and the differences. Yes. All my customers, if they go and they drop off and they, you know, they'll shop, they'll buy a box every week for like 5-6 weeks, and then they'll drop off, they'll come back and go, oh, I'm not feeling as good. Oh, my stomach's bad. Or their skin, they break out. And especially the chemicals are affecting our bodies. Like there's no discussion about it not affecting our bodies. So the price of organic food is the price of real food. It's like comparing it, if you want to buy something cheap and rubbish for your body and you put that in your body, you're going to have a rubbish body. It's like, why are we compromising on our health, you know, which is the most important thing, just to save 50p or, you know, 50 cents. And really, farmers markets are cheaper than the supermarkets in Europe. You go to the farmers market and you buy organic, and you go to the supermarket, and it's the same in Australia a lot of the time. Like a bunch of kale at a farmer's market might be $3.50 or $4. You go to the supermarket, in a big supermarket, and it's probably a few weeks old, and it's $5 or $4.50.
And it's covered in plastic as well.
Yeah. So it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice for your health? Because as I said, I used to be sick all the time. I was always at the doctor's. I was taking antibiotics. I was feeling rubbish. I didn't want to go outside and be adventurous and play like I do all the time, because I wasn't feeling good or upbeat or healthy. And when you change your diet and your lifestyle and you make different decisions, it's like I'd much rather spend money on that than pay for taxis on the way home from a big night out of
From a
drinking,
big night out, yeah.
you
Too
know,
right.
or taking tablets the next day to, you know, for recovery because I can't get up. So it's about priorities. I think there are some cases where I understand that people cannot make those, you know, they can't meet those demands. They've got 5 children, they've got all these things, and you can't buy everything organic. And I understand that. Like, we live in this world. However, I think it's important to be informed of what our food system, what's going on with our food system. And especially like you guys in Europe are more looked after than we everywhere else in the world, because the chemicals that we are allowed to use here, it's scary. And so I think it's better that we make informed decisions, and then you can start growing a little bit of stuff in your backyard, or you start just buying a few things organically, and just be more mindful about what you're putting in your body for, you know, to benefit your life. So yeah.
Well, I just wanted to touch on the point that with the likes of, there's a whole influx of people being more plant-based. And just for someone who's a vegan, I just want to touch on the likes of, Nikki, what's the common question? Where do you get your protein, or how can you get all these 9 essential amino acids? Just in your own words.
You know, I used to be, when I first went organic 12 years ago, I came from a vegetarian diet, mostly vegetarian, a flexitarian, and I never really liked eating meat. My mum has been vegetarian all my life. So when I went organic, I went paleo. So I went through a period of 18 months of trying to eat meat and doing a paleo, nearly a keto style diet. Well, keto wasn't a thing back then. But I was very focused on my protein when I became organic. And where do I get my protein? And making sure every meal there's protein. And as soon as I went vegan, I forgot about protein. I stopped focusing on protein. I started focusing on eating whole foods, which I did as a, you know, paleo organic person, but just focusing on eating whole foods and plant-based, I always get enough protein. And you know, I don't measure it, of course. And initially I would, and I'd look into things. I even used to count calories when I first went vegan, and I went raw vegan just to see that I was getting enough food, so that you know, especially as a vegan, a lot of people go vegan and they eat lettuce and they don't eat enough calories. So they're exhausted and starving.
In a transition, in any diet, it's definitely important, whether you're on, we'll call it the standard diet, to a healthier diet. I do always recommend people to understand from whole foods, they are lower in calorie, but you actually get to eat more foods as a result of that. So I do recommend people to use the likes of MyFitnessPal or whatever they could currently use, to just have an idea of how many foods, because they're astonished. They would say, oh my God, I couldn't possibly eat all these foods and still be eating into my maintenance or eating in a calorie deficit. You can. The amount of foods you can consume on a healthier diet is incredible, due to the fact that they're lower calorie, they're high in nutrient dense, sticking to your leafy greens, choosing organic where possible. It's the people that I come through and I train are amazed by that.
Yeah. And that's it. And so protein, there's never actually been a recorded case of a protein deficiency. Like, in 9 years, I haven't had a protein deficiency. People generally don't have protein deficiencies. You can have nutrient deficiencies. You can have all sorts of deficiencies, but we focus so much. As soon as someone goes vegan, all of a sudden we talk about protein and iron and B12 and all these issues that are not vegan issues. They're actually like, they're general population issues. I recently had a blood test a few weeks ago, and my B12 levels are so high, my iron levels are so high. After being a vegan for 5 years, the doctor actually called me back in and said, we need to talk about your meat consumption. And I was like, why? And I thought, oh, here we go, I'm going to get a lecture about being a vegan. But he said, you eat so much meat, you need to cut back. And I said to him, I have not eaten meat in 5 years. And he said, well, your iron levels are extremely, extremely high. And I said, well, that's funny, because when I was paleo and when I was eating a lot of meat, my iron was low. And so I believe a lot of it, and I'm not a nutrition expert. I've studied nutrition, but I don't, you know, everything that I say is from my own personal experience and research. So I'm not advocating this for other people and telling people where it's from, but I know that there are a lot of issues in absorption and what you eat and what you drink surrounding those foods that you eat. But I also know that during this time I was mostly raw vegan, and I ate a lot of kale and silver beet, a lot of leafy greens with a lot of iron in it. And I ate quite a bit of fat as well, because I wasn't yet fruitarian at that point. So I ate a lot of like nutritious foods, and B12, might be an absorption issue. I believe it's partly absorption. I believe also because I eat organic and I can't be stuffed washing my food most of the time, that, you know, there's something in it. The doctor a few weeks ago, and she looked at my test, she said, yeah, B12 is incredibly high. I've never supplemented in 12 years. So I don't have a protein, an iron, a B12 issue, none of those things that we call vegan issues or that we need to supplement. I know that caffeine consumption, like drinking coffee, has an effect on those kind of things too. I'm not sure about B12, but I know that a lot of people, when they come back from coffee and they give those up, or even alcohol, then they have better absorption of all minerals, of all things. If you look after your body, it's like if you always, I love how you put it, you know, you compare it to the soil and to organic farming. It's perfect. It's like if you look after the soil, you tend to it, you give it what it needs, you feed it, the plants grow well and the plants grow healthy, and you keep the bugs away, and your nutrient content of the soil and, you know, everything in it, it remains high. And it's the same as our bodies. If you want to eat organic food and you want to put good things in your body, then, you know, it might be a great idea to avoid the other things that take away from what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, it's a great point you touch on.
Yeah.
The foods that you eat have a direct result on how you look and how you feel. And then when you're choosing organic, then you're reducing down. Some people say that they're in standard, we call it commercially produced fruits or vegetables. There are minimal, only minute amounts of harsh chemicals. But why have minute amount of chemicals when you can have, in fact, eliminate it completely? And then when you start to eat these foods organically, you then, it's not about removing any food from your diet, it's about replacing them. And we'll touch on now the classic one, a major fan of it, and I hope you are too, the Dirty Dozen.
I love the Dirty Dozen. Yeah,
So
Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. One of my favorite topics to talk about. I'm actually a bit, I'll first of all, I just wanted to say about like a little bit of chemicals are okay. It's just, to me, when we put these things in our body, as I said before, it's like we're knowingly poisoning ourselves. It's just like, I know that I'm not giving my body the best chance that it has. And I've seen so many people heal from all sorts of illnesses, quite serious illnesses, from what they're doing and getting just back to organic fruits and vegetables, or even, you know, fasting or just, you know, juicing, just to cleanse their system and just to give their bodies a break. And I feel like that fasting and juicing has its place when we are sick, or when we are, you know, when there are illnesses or those kind of things. But I've seen people go from that to here. So and they've taken the chemicals out of their bodies and their lives and their houses, you know, their homes, their environment. So it's just good to know what you're putting in your body. So onto your Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. Is it? Yeah, Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. So
yeah, I think that's a great point. Even before you go any further, we had conversations, we've been in contact previously, and we touched on how people could benefit if they have such chronic illnesses from the likes of fasting or juice diets, because animals naturally do it anyway. Don't think we touched on this. If animals are sick, such as a dog, he doesn't eat, he won't eat.
He won't eat. And we force these animals to eat. Like a lot of pets, you know, people have companion animals in their houses, and they're like, oh, my dog won't eat. And then they try and force their dog to eat, but their dog is actually saying, oh, like, my digestion needs a break. I'm eating, you know, I'm not eating. A lot of the time they've been fed absolute rubbish. And the reason I got actually into organic foods is because my dog was sick. They got a Shar-Pei when I was overseas, and at the age of 1, Rocky was really ill and he had cancer, and they took him to all sorts of treatments and radio and everything. And then, you know, they were feeding him what they thought was a high quality dog diet, you know, giving the dog the best dried food and the best, you know, the highest price this, and taking them to the vet and injecting whatever they inject all dogs with, you know, on a regular basis. And basically my mum read a book called Give a Dog a Bone, Dr. Ian Billingsworth, I think. And she decided that they're going to give Rocky his natural diet, like what Rocky would eat in the wild. What would a dog eat in the wild? And of course they're domesticated, so you can't go the full length of, you know, but they don't eat what these dogs eat and what they're being fed. And now what we see is animals, like these companion animals, are getting all the same illnesses as humans are getting, because we're domesticating them and we're feeding them junk food. We're feeding them processed food. we're not getting them back to their natural diet. And when you do that with the animals, they begin to thrive again. And my dog at the park, mum and dad would go to the park and everyone would ask, oh, look, Rocky's made a full recovery. What did he do? So all these animals are starting to get off those pet food diets and those junk food diets, it's just processed foods, and eating natural foods, organic foods, and also, the same as dogs and cats. When we feed them proper diets, like natural raw food diets, dogs don't cook in the wild. There are no stoves in the wild. So why are we feeding the animals, junk? So when you give the dog these natural foods, fruits and vegetables or whatever else they need, they thrive. So back to the animals. So, and also, when dogs go to the park and they eat greens and the humans are going, don't eat the greens, don't eat the leafy greens. It's like the dog's probably wanting to cleanse itself as well. That's what I feel like. It's asking for some green. It's asking for some nourishment. What was our point? We're talking about animals fasting. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that fasting has its place when humans are sick or when we need replenishment. But I just think that fasting and juice fasting, all this is overused in our society nowadays to maybe for weight loss or fat loss,
yes,
which
definitely.
It doesn't do it because we usually go back to our original diet anyway, and we're not educated about it. And the other thing is, what grinds me a little bit nowadays, there's a lot of juice companies, even in Sydney, that are doing all these juice cleanses, but they're not using organic produce. So they're telling people to go on their juice fast or their juice diet for 3 or 7 days, and they're putting nothing but fruit and veg with chemicals in their body on a cleanse. And you're just putting more pressure on your organs by using pesticide, fungicide, herbicides, that are banned in your country in our juice cleanses. So yeah, it kind of makes no sense. And I think, it has its place. And, people like, I don't know if you've heard of Don Tolman and Tyler Tolman, they're good people to look up, and they do a lot of fasting and healing with people that go to retreats, and they get a lot of great life-changing results. And then they educate them into, this is what you eat now, and this is how you live your life. And I've seen people make life-changing transformations. And that's where, juice cleansing and fasting does have its place.
Yeah, no, I just thought that was a good point to bring it up, that animals do it naturally. If they're sick or they're ill, that they wait and they won't eat their food. It's for a reason, that they're trying to detoxify themselves, and they start to eat the leafy greens that are in their backyard. And we're kind of wondering, what the hell is wrong with the dog? And we've tried to force feed them. Like, it's natural. It's a natural thing to reduce down the amount of processed foods that they are consuming, to try naturally pass out whatever kind of toxins are in their body.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in Australia and in Sydney especially, they're spraying glyphosate, they're spraying Roundup in our parks. And I see it all the time. I speak to council workers. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, oh yeah, glyphosate, Roundup. I said, do you know what that's doing to you? They're like, yeah, but the council are making us do it. And I said, you're not even wearing a mask. And that's why there's a lot of allergies as well in the parks here. The dogs are getting skin issues and they're getting sick and they're not sure why. Their dogs are getting cancer here all the time. Never used to have happen. And there's a bird at the door, and and so he just came to say hello. He was
I love live podcast. No editing in this for sure.
Yeah, oh great, it's all right. So and it's a huge cause for concern. So this is why there are more animals getting sick around here too, and no one's really, or not many people, making the connection. Like there's all of our parks are getting sprayed all the time with Roundup. It's everywhere here. But yeah, should we talk about
the Dirty Dozen is the next thing we're going to talk about. Yeah, right. And the Clean 15. Right, what are your thoughts on it exactly? I love talking about it. Yeah.
Well, the Environmental Working Group, which is I think an American association, they put out a different list each year. These are the top 12 produce items that you should not be eating unless they're organic. And these are the 15 that are okay. So first of all, as we said before, what's okay? What's an okay level of poisoning? I don't know. That's negotiable. And then we're using these lists all over the world that they've tested a certain amount of farms in America. Now, the produce they use, like they test in America, it's produce that is not available in Ireland or Australia. They use chemicals in America that are banned in your country. Then some of them are banned in mine, but most of the stuff in my country is a lot of the stuff is banned in America. So it has no relevance to our local produce. So people are using these lists, and there's some home delivery companies, even in Sydney, that are coming under the organic banner and saying we use Clean 15 produce and it's okay. And they're using a list that has no relevance to our local produce. It's not even, they don't test all the farms, and there is no regulation for any farmer. Like in Australia, if I'm growing tomatoes and you're growing tomatoes, and no one's telling me you can only use that much of the organophosphates or that much glyphosate. So my tomatoes on my farm are going to be different to your tomatoes on your farm. And we're all using the same list to tell us what we are allowed and what we're not allowed to eat. It's just like following the leader, going with the herd and going, this is okay and this is not okay. And I just find that those lists have absolutely no bearing on what we should be eating. And I think that it all comes back to self-responsibility. And this is all about what I encourage and what I'm all about is we have the power and the responsibility to take control of our health. So if we're going to just look at a list and blindly follow someone that's telling me I can eat avocados because they've got a skin, but I don't know what's been put on the avocados or in or underneath the tree or what soil or anything like that, and we just blindly follow, it's like we're just letting someone else control our health and our lives. And that's what I did most of my life until I decided to go organic. And then I started working out what was going on in the food system. And so I just don't believe that anyone lists, like it changes every year. Every year, the list changes. So yeah, is celery okay in some countries? Maybe. Is it okay in my country? No, I wouldn't eat. And berries, we all know, don't eat berries. Like any food really that's sprayed on, you cannot wash off the chemicals. It's systemic. It's in the plants. You cannot wash off pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, anything that the soil's been treated with. It's in the soil. It's in the plant. It's like getting up into the plant and washing it off and pretending it's magic, it'll go away. It won't. You know, and some farmers here, the asparagus season, they spray the crop, they harvest it a day or two later. There's an actual window that they're not meant to harvest it, but no one pays attention because they don't want the bugs to kill their harvest. They don't want, that's their profit. And all of a sudden we go to the grocery store and magic, you know, they have these signs at the farm saying, don't enter pesticides in use, don't enter at your own risk, you know, poisoning. And they wear the big suits, and all of a sudden we go into the supermarket, bam, 2 days later, magic. This is safe to eat. This is safe to touch. But you were wearing a suit a few days before. Actually, I lie. In the supermarket, on average, it's a month old. So by the time it gets to the front, you know, but still, it's like all of a sudden we don't see it. We're blinded. We just go, that's okay. It's safe all of a sudden. But I wasn't allowed to enter the farm when they were spraying my food.
The connection between where the vegetables come from, how they're grown, where they get delivered, and how long it takes to get delivered is totally lost with the majority of people nowadays. And I found that myself, that people are like, oh, how long does it take in storage, or from harvest to storage to delivery, sitting in the fridge in the supermarket, then sitting in your fridge. Again, all the time, the nutrition value is decreasing in all these fruits and vegetables that you're consuming. But then those are just rough guidelines. What are the recommendations then from yourself then currently, if not to use those Clean 15 as a general guide? What would you even recommend yourself now that I have you?
For myself, or for anyone else, my guide would be, obviously, eat as much as you can organically, but leafy greens, to me, anything that you look at that's sprayed directly on the crop and it's, you know, it can't be, you know, there is no protection. That's it. Then, because what are we going to eat most of? I always say, whatever you eat the most of, that's what you want to eat organically. It's leafy greens. Yeah. Leafy greens. And also the other thing is potatoes, like the Irish favorite, my favorite food. You know, it's the best food. And potatoes are sponges. And so they're sitting in the ground. And if you're treating the soil, it's going to suck in everything from the soil. So potatoes are cheap foods, especially in Ireland, especially in the UK, potatoes are cheap organically. And also they're calorie dense, they're nutrient dense, and people are like, oh no, they're not, they're white food. But to me,
They're carbs. I think people say you can't eat potatoes. You can't eat white potatoes. You can't eat
Well,
pasta.
if you want to starve your brain of carbohydrates, go ahead. No, just joking. But, but what I'm saying is we need carbohydrates to function. And anyone who says that we don't, like, it's interesting to see all those kind of people on long-term lack of carbohydrates. Most of them have cheat days. They'll have pizzas or whatever and call it a cheat day instead of eating carbohydrates as part of their life. And a lot of people who don't eat carbohydrates tend to go for coffee and caffeine, and that's their fake energy source. Yeah. So I always say, why don't you have some potatoes, have some sweet potatoes, but those kind of things, because they suck in everything from the soil and, you know, from the ground, you want them to be organic. They're sitting in the soil for however long. And, you know, same as berries. To me, if I can't get organic berries, I'm not touching berries. First of all, like with anything that's not organic, it doesn't taste as good. It tastes rubbish. Yeah. So if I'm out and there's only, I was thinking before when I was getting ready, when is the last time I bought non-organic fruit? And the only time probably in 12 years, I think, and I may be mistaken, but sometimes when I'm in Thailand and I can't find the organic fruit stall, I'll buy some non-organic fruit. But besides then, in 12 years, I haven't bought non-organic fruit because there's an abundance of it everywhere in the world that I've been to. And also, it doesn't taste good if it's not organic. And so same as things like bananas. There are people, you know, who don't like bananas or allergic to bananas. And it's interesting, that's one of the fruits that when you eat it organically, you don't have the allergies. I've seen quite a few stories of people who refuse to eat bananas and then eat organic bananas and don't have the illness or the allergy, and they actually like the flavor. So yeah, like eat whatever you eat the most of, eat organically. And things like berries organically, they're expensive because, as you know, there's a lot of labor involved, and especially on organic farms. So you eat seasonally, you don't eat as much. And like, I don't buy a lot of blueberries or strawberries all the time, but in season I'll eat them. But yeah, I think bottom line, to answer your question, whatever you eat the most of, eat that organically. And go to farmers markets. We cut out the middleman. We cut out this whole system of my food's going to get so old by the time it gets to the supermarket. Yeah. If you want it fresh, go and get it yourself. And you feel better. Everyone who goes to the organic farmers markets, you never see people miserable at the farmers markets.
No, you don't. You just don't.
Yeah. No. Go walk around the supermarket. People like, you know, face down and murmur. No one wants to make eye contact and talk. But at the farmers market, pretty much everyone wants to stop and have a chat. And everyone's pumped about the food because it makes you feel good. It makes you connect. And that's the thing. I love working with farmers at the farmers markets because everyone wants to talk to the farmer. Everyone wants to talk about where their food comes from. Everyone's smiling at each other because we found like the winning formula of what makes us feel good and what it connects us. Food connects us. And this is healthy food that connects us. Like, what a great way to spend your weekend, going and connecting with the people that grow your food and saying thank you. Yeah,
who sowed the seed, who harvested it, who brought it to you, and to touch on the point why it's tastier. It's tastier because it's higher antioxidants. And then if you want to go down the science route, antioxidants are scientifically proven to be higher in organic produce. And antioxidants are linked with flavor. So therefore, if you're eating organic fruit and vegetables, they're going to be tastier. And things that are more tastier, people are more likely to eat them. And as well as that, antioxidants, what do they do for the body? Some people don't notice, some people do. They like that they prevent the likes of oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? Oxidative stress, you come in contact with it on a regular basis within breathing in toxins or eating foods that are chemically produced, as well as the natural production in our training. But too much oxidative stress causes negative effects on the body. All right, can cause illness, tiredness, as well as these chronic illnesses. So the likes of consuming these fruits and vegetables that are grown organically, getting them at your farm markets, getting them fresher, higher antioxidants, you're going to be feeling better. And then it's a knock-on effect. You're going to be feeling better. And then as a result of that, then it's a knock-on effect. As soon as you talk to someone who's eating healthier, they're happier, they're smiling a hell of a lot more. And that's the kind of people that I like to hang out with. And you are the average of the people you hang out with. We kind of touched on this even before we press the record button on the podcast. Hang around with positive people. Hang around with people that you want to be like. Because as soon as you meet someone and they're happy, you literally go up to their level. If you were going into work or into office or into wherever you're going, and someone is firstly upbeat, you go, yeah, look at Nikki. Nikki's on form. She's a big smile on her face. I want to be just like Nikki. She start doing things that Nikki does. The type of food that she's eating, the type of training that she's doing, which leads us on and segues us on to lovely, a bit of Wim Hof. You're currently doing that in the ice baths. You actually were doing grouped projects with individuals. Would it be correct in telling that? Wim Hof?
Like what I've been doing with the Wim Hof stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did some breath work in an ice bath this morning with my friend Dino. He's been a Wim Hof instructor for a few years, and so I discovered this Wim Hof method at the beginning of the year simply because he was running a workshop. And for anyone who's listening that doesn't know what it is, Wim Hof, he's an incredible man. He's broken a lot of world records. He's known as the Iceman. Very well worth looking into everything that he's done and why he's done it and the benefits of his method. I went in it pretty much because, you know, anything that Dean or any of my friends do, I like to support and try it out. So yeah, we did. We learned about the breath work and we did the breathing. We learned about mindset and focus, and then we went into the ice baths. And my first ice bath of 2 minutes, I thought I was going to get up, and I only didn't get up because everyone was watching. We're at the Bronte Surf Lifesaving Club, and everyone was watching us walking past, so I had to stay in. But over the course of the year, I think I've done about 10 experiences in the ice, and yeah, it's just another tool, I guess, in the toolkit of you know, becoming and feeling more like yourself, connecting with others, connecting with yourself, and yeah, doing things that are uncomfortable, and you know, but they bring you to different experiences. And I've had so many great benefits from doing these ice bars and this breath work, and I've met some amazing people. And yeah, recently we had a retreat. We went out to Perisher, which is like a cold area. Even in November, which is out going into our summer, there was still snow, and we went into the icy lakes, and I got to cook for 35 people, which was very special and challenging, but it was great for 3 days. So you know, and people just using the method for all aspects of their life. There's so many benefits. It's good for your immune system. It's good for training, for your recovery, for there's a long list, but yeah, also the other thing that it's helped me to do is I jump in the ocean every morning. Most mornings this year, I think, even in the winter. And even when I was in Ireland, it was actually nice to go in Galway and I loved, you know, I met the happy pair, and I went in Greystones. That was a highlight of Ireland, and one of the highlights. But yeah, it's just, you don't come out of the ocean feeling rubbish. You've come out feeling amazing. And that's just, that's how I want so many people to start their day. I think it's great. You're feeling a certain way and you jump in the ocean, and then you get back to being yourself and going, hey, look what I've got. Look who I am. Look where I am, and just appreciate everything you've got. And jump in the ocean, I guess, is just like doing some meditation or doing something that it's for yourself and you feel great. It's the best way to start the day.
And you get the benefits of it. I've been sampling it too, but it's I'm going to say it's a hell of a lot colder, the ocean over here. I've been jumping in, and the whole thing about it is, it's not that I want to do it or it's easy. In fact, it's the opposite. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. And when you do something that's uncomfortable, you get into a situation where you get comfortable at being uncomfortable. And when you do that, you're kind of growing in confidence. And that's what I'm kind of using it for myself. I'm kind of doing things that are difficult that it will, in the long term, make me see that, Jesus, the thing that I'm doing that was previously hard, it's actually not that hard.
Yeah.
And you bring that to all areas of your life. You're like, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your fitness, you go, that training used to be hard. Yeah, but now I'm after moving on. I'm after progression.
Yeah.
Geez, that sea was absolutely Baltic, but now when I come out of it, everything seems a hell of a lot easier. I can do anything.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mindset change.
You said it better than I did. That's exactly what I wanted to say. But yeah,
it's great to be able to bounce off someone. Because every day I do solo podcasts, I was there. I can't even have a drink of tea or anything in between them. Just like I go non-stop.
Oh, your solo podcasts are great. We love them.
Right. The next topic I want to touch on is the likes of game changer. That's something that's highly discussed at this moment in time It's a documentary that's been out. What are your thoughts on it, or what are your beliefs on this documentary? And actually, as well as that, we were talking about that, we were talking about Mike. He's an individual that you're training with. He's a plant-based or a vegan bodybuilder based in Sydney. And since I've been chatting to you, I've been following him, and I'm really interested in the guy. And I've, if for some people who might know, I've started to increase the amount of plant-based foods. I've even done a couple of vegan days and kind of just seeing what it feels like. And like, it's not to say that vegan food tastes crap. By God, you can make some tasty ass vegan meals. And whenever Nikki comes over, I'm going to have to cooking or something for coming on my podcast.
Better start practicing. Yeah.
I am for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll just touch on Mike, and he's a great individual, and he's a great advocate for a plant-based or a vegan diet, because he's in great shape as an individual. And I'll be tagging him up here in the show notes so people can see you can build muscle, you can maintain muscle. And as well as that, I'd have a bro crush on the man. He's a huge individual. He's just he looks great, super in fact. Like.
Yeah, Mike's a legend. Mike Case, he has been vegan, I think, for 5 years. And he is an incredible personal trainer. He's very well read up on the subject. He's just recently done a debate with another personal trainer at the gym that he trains at and works at. And they've discussed the documentary, The Game Changers, and Mike's perspective on the vegan diet and why we are vegan, not only just for nutritional benefits, but also, from an animal rights perspective and ethics perspective. And the bottom line that he mentions that, resonates well with me, and which is why I went vegan, was if we can live happily and healthfully and do no harm to other beings, if it's not necessary to eat animals or their products, then why do it? And there's no need to do it. And, since I was a little kid, like my brother was a vegetarian from a very young age, and we used to eat animal products or animals at dinner, and always feeling uncomfortable about it. Like, I didn't really ever like the taste of meat. My mum fed it to us because she felt she had to, but she, obviously didn't eat it herself. But my brother, as a 7-year-old, would say that animal walked, that animal had a name, and he would torment us until my brother was actually 18 and he went on a football tour in Argentina and started eating animals. But besides that, it really got in our heads about connecting with the food we ate and what we were taking in, and that we were eating animals. We had a dog, Sam, and a little Labrador, and we were eating animals at dinner, and it always sat funny with me. And when I've gone through periods of vegetarianism all through my life, but when I met these vegans, when I was into paleo and organic and all that, and there are reasons why I stopped eating meat, like, slowly. But when I met these vegans, I was like, oh, they seem happy, they're healthy, they're vibrant, they're really cool people, they're nice, they're not pushy, because I would walk around as a paleo person going, oh, that person needs a steak, or you need to eat this. Because I believed, I studied all the things about what Sally Fallon and nutrition and physical degeneration and all these books that we learned about the importance of animal fats in our diet and all this for certain nutritious benefits. And then I met these vegans and I thought, wow, they seem pretty cool. They seem healthy and fit and strong. If they can do it, then I don't need to eat animals. And then I met a guy called Harley Johnson, Durian rider, very interesting character, and quite, an inspirational figure to a lot. And he's and controversial to others, but he was the one who pretty much inspired me to go vegan, because he's been vegan 19 years, but he's does a lot of cycling, is very lean athlete. But I just realized, and he showed me how I can be healthy and fit without eating animals and without eating animal products. So coming back to Mike is also a very good example of that. And for guys especially who want to keep size and they want to be fit and strong and fit, but also, build muscle in the gym. Mike's a great example of how you can do that, what you can eat. He shows people what he eats on a nearly daily basis. He's happy, healthy, and fit. And perfect example of, living a healthy lifestyle and also inspiring others to do what he's doing in a, very non-confrontational way, but in a great sharing way that people feel, comfortable
He's
going
very
through it. And
informative. That's what I found. He's very informative,
yeah,
and it's scientifically backed information that he's doing, talking about the foods and why he's eating, and the combinations of foods, making complete proteins is something that I'm interested in as well. Kind of the slightly sciencey stuff about it.
yeah,
There's that. Like, some people think that a diet is just food based, but vegan is actually not just a diet or way of eating. It's kind of a lifestyle, and the fact that it's not harming any other individuals, and if you could live your life as well as getting the benefits of all these range of fruits and vegetables, as well as not harming other livestock, other life forms, which some people
yeah,
don't understand. It's not just vegetarian because I don't eat meat. It's vegetarian, or it's vegan, or it's plant based because you want to have less an effect on the world or the environment, because you know the effect it has on those poor animals that get culled or get killed in mass numbers.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's not only about, it's also about the breeding of those animals and what goes into like start their lives, and is that necessary? And even organic animals, like, to me, because I used to eat organic animals and I used to talk to organic farmers about those things. I know it's a contentious issue with you too. And for me personally, if I can, eat, as I said before, like everything, I believe all the nutrition that I can get without harming animals. And I feel like, especially, the animals in the ocean and the animals, all around us that are, there's another aspect of this that we can touch on quickly about being vegan and the importance of eating organic as a vegan. And it's another topic I'm very passionate about, because we make the connection with what we don't eat as vegans, but I'd like more vegans, I encourage more vegans to make the connection with what we do eat and the impacts and effects on our environment by not eating organic, because of the chemicals and what that's doing to animals, that, it's harming our animals, it's harming the wildlife. When you go to a non-organic farm compared to an organic farm, like just the bees and the wildlife, the birds and all that, it's completely different environment. But back to, animal exploitation and the vegan lifestyle, that's pretty much what we do. Is we avoid using animals for anything, for entertainment, for food, for experiments, animal experimentation. It's unnecessary in my view. Wearing them, it's a big lifestyle change, and it can be done in a very gradual process and manner. And I think that every single step we take towards living a more healthy, conscious lifestyle, it's everything that we do. It's not only good for us, but it's good for the planet.
yeah.
And, if I don't have to, consumers, I don't have to buy more stuff and more leather and more things. It's all, clothing and these kinds of things that we buy for status or to look a certain way. And, it harms the planet when we buy more stuff, when we use more stuff that we don't need to. And a lot of that, comes from using animal products. And, there are so many things that we can do to avoid, to actually lessen our impact on the planet, where people are still having children nowadays. And you've got to think, I always think when I'm doing things like what kind of life or what kind of world do I want to leave for my nephew and niece to grow up with? What food? My sister's great with them. They eat organic food, and they're very conscious of organics. Even like 3-year-old talks about organics with me, and I love it. And, children are much more conscious of the environment now. But as I said to you the other day, like, we cannot, like, the most important thing, like with, not only being vegan, but it's also about the organic thing. We can't talk about health and wellness and fitness and all this in the environment without talking about what we're putting on our plates every day and what we're putting in the environment every day, all these chemicals. Like, we can't talk about it. We look on Instagram all the time, people talking about healthy living, healthy eating, and they're not even talking about organic food. We talk about marching for climate change or climate strikes, or all these things. Everyone's very passionate about asking the government to do things for us. The government needs to change this policy. The government other people need to change all these things. And it all starts with us. We need to learn, we need to take action. We go and march, do all these marches and hold these signs. How many of those people go and march to the farmers markets to go buy their produce afterwards? We can't wait. Yeah, we can't wait for other people to act. we need to act, and we just need to, like, it's just a matter of people like you informing the population of what is actually going on, what's happening in our system, and here's the solution. And this is the thing, this is what I'm passionate about more people. There are a lot of vegans educating, there are a lot of organic people educating, and saying this is bad, but we all need to be a lot more solutions focused, solutions based. And that's why I created the home delivery business, because it's, here's a solution, here's where you get your fruit and veg. If you write an ebook, like, and Mike's written an ebook and I'm busy writing an ebook, it's like, here is our solution to the problem. And that's why Mike, the Gains coach, who we're talking about, is a great example. Same as my friend Modern Day Vegan Stan. They're providing solutions for what do I do? What do I eat? Where do I go? Where do I shop? You know, how do I avoid harming animals? How do I avoid chemicals in my food in my life? And we all need to start providing more solutions. And we can't wait for the government. We can't wait for other people to do it. We've got the knowledge and information, and we're doing it. And you pass it on to one person, they pass it on to 5 people. And that's what we need to do. Like, let's use social media for a positive change and a good cause. This is what we're doing, and that's what you're doing. And that's what I love about what you're doing. Yeah.
No, Nick, you got to be blowing me up. You're doing a great job too. And the whole idea of that, you're putting out that information out there. You're a living example of someone who people can replicate. Like, you're doing what you can do, and that's, you control what you can control. It's a saying that I have, and I love sayings. There's kind of things that I live my life by. Do you know what I mean? You control what you do every day, and just do one thing today that makes you that little bit healthier, a little bit fitter. It's a compound effect that I'm a massive believer in putting the one coin in the jar every day, getting you closer to the healthier, the fitter version of you, thinking of one positive note, thinking of doing one positive thing for another individual, because you get much more out of doing just one thing for someone else than you ever will for doing something for yourself. And choosing organic. Christmas is coming up. Get each other Christmas organic produce, organic anything. Do you know what I mean? Just to get one bit, to drive this forward, to get people to be more aware of where foods are coming from, making those choices when you see an organic produce and the likelihood of it is chemically produced on the opposite side of the food stall. Choose that organic apple, choose that organic produce, because you're not only supporting, and you're not only supporting the organic movement, you're supporting a healthy movement, and everyone would benefit on this planet, whether they go vegan, whether they go vegetarian, just to choose one more piece of individual food item that is from a single ingredient organic produce. Like,
yeah, and you're looking after yourself. Like, that's the most important thing, really. You're showing yourself care and love, and going, I deserve this. And that's what we need to do to make everything a little bit better, is care for ourselves, and we can care for other people better. And as you say, when people look at you and you're looking after yourselves, it clicks something in their head that, hey, maybe I need to look after myself too. And
I want a piece of that.
Yeah, bottom line is organic food tastes better. Don't we want to enjoy our food? Like,
yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
people say,
so
vegetables taste sick. It's like, well, have you tried organic vegetables? Like, no, not yet. Well, I tell you what, you try a couple of organic tomatoes and you tell me how you get on. Game changer. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. But no, no, a game changer that is a game changer. Organic tomatoes.
Yeah, it is. Both.
What we'll touch on now is we're coming up close to the hour. I'm going to get to finish off with, that's a whopper of a podcast. What we'll do is we'll move on to get to know you questions. This is where we're going to have a bit of crack. You call out.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no, this is handy, right? There's no issue with it. Right, you're going to tell me your favorite vegetable. Come at me. What's your favorite vegetable?
This is the hardest question of all. My favorite leafy green is silver beet. My favorite vegetable is potato. So I can have 2.
You can have 2.
And then I can have 3. My favorite fungus is mushroom.
Because that's actually not technically, yes, we're going scientifically, it's not a fruit or a vegetable.
There we go. So those are my 3. Yeah.
And silver beet, for those who are based over here in Ireland, is kind of a rainbow chard or a spinach.
Swiss chard, yeah.
Yeah, it's Swiss chard. Yeah, it's a type of spinach for those of you. And you can get it locally at your markets. They'll be currently in season. They're in mixed salad bags that I'm currently growing at the minute. So you can get it in your, it's delicious. It's one of my major favorite ones as well. Kale, I love kale. Jeez, dark green leafy vegetables massively high in antioxidants. We won't go too much into that again.
You love your antioxidants. Yep.
I'm getting my macros.
You're going to be forever young, Coleman, with all your antioxidants.
Well, my spirit will be forever young if I keep jumping in that sea. Sure as hell will.
Definitely, definitely.
All right. I want to ask you, what is the best present you've ever received? Okay.
Wow.
Speechless, Nikki. Jeez, I caught you.
I know. That's very difficult. Well, I receive gifts all the time. Like, I feel like, I was just thinking today, the Wim Hof method, that was a great gift that my friend gave to me at the beginning of the year, that I went to that. And, you know, I think the gifts that people give you in time and energy and pretty much information and, you know, things that keep giving, those are the gifts. My friend Terence, who basically had the sit down with me 12 years ago about, is this the way you want to continue your life, or would you like to take control of your health and life? Which direction would you like to go? That conversation was the life-changing conversation that made me decide I'm not going to do this to my body and my health anymore. And I came back from a health retreat and my parents thought I'd cracked it, but I emptied out their cupboard and their fridge and went all organic, like overnight, and that conversation was one of the biggest gifts I've ever received, I guess, because it helped change the direction of my life, my career, my focus, my drive, and my health. So I think those are the greatest gifts. And also when someone buys me something organic, or when someone cooks me an organic meal, I think that, and I can sit down and someone makes me an organic dinner and I didn't make it, that lights me up. That is one of the best, that's the best way to my heart, I think, making me an organic meal.
That's a brilliant answer, an absolute brilliant answer, as well as probably a dig at me to make sure I'm cooking my meals and they're up to scratch when you call over.
Yep. Must have potatoes and antioxidants.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to sure as hell have that. And they're going to be grown by myself as well.
Do you grow potatoes?
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually even have potatoes that have the highest antioxidant content. Here, you got me going. Content of all the other potatoes. It's called Violetta is the variety. It's purple through and through. Have you ever seen one of those potatoes?
Are they like midnight purple potatoes, or like?
Yeah. There's different varieties, different names on them, but it's just a purple flesh.
Yeah. I only noticed those last year, I think, for the first time, and we've got quite a bit here. But yeah, we don't have as many organic varieties as you guys have over there, especially in England. When I was in Manchester and going into Unicorn Grocery, have you been there? Have you been to Manchester?
I haven't been to Manchester, not for many years. Unicorn
Grocery, unbelievable produce there. And they just you walk into the produce section, you walk into the store, and it's just a wall of potatoes. It's just, it's heaven. It's woo. Yeah, I love that place. Yeah, but so many varieties. Anyway, we can talk about potatoes all day.
Right.
Do we answer the question?
Next question. What is the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you were starting off your health and fitness? We'll say when you were 20 or starting in your 20s. Something that you know now that you wish you knew back then, this piece of information.
Yeah, for me, it's just the simple things about being vegan. I wish I knew more about that. And I wish I knew about organic food, because knowing about those two things helped me think about and question everything else in my life, and question what's going on in the world and what's being done and and so I've made changes because of that. I think the organic food change made me realize that because they're doing this with our food system, what else is going on? So I think I would have liked to have known those things in my early 20s, but yeah, better now. I guess
you're passing on the information that you know now, and that's all we're ever doing is we're consuming information, whether we read it from books, whether we read it from the likes of, I just happen to have a good book there, the likes of peer-reviewed documents online. We pass on the information. That's all anyone ever does, and it benefits people then don't know this information. Do you know what I mean? The sound back on, please tell me. Oh my God, I can't believe it. No, it should be good. Tell me you can hear me now.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you now.
You can hear me now. Good. Jesus, thank God that wasn't a major blip. Gone again.
Lost you.
Jesus.
Oh, we're back. I can hear you now.
Oh God! Right.
I'll
Well,
have to listen to the podcast so that I can hear
you. There's no editing. Like, there isn't any editing. Firstly, because I can't do it, and then there's no cutting out of anything.
That's fine. I'll just listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Here, before we finish up, Nikki, I just want you to tell people where the listeners, where they can get in contact with you if they're looking for advice or information about veganism or about yourself, Miss Organic. Tell them your Instagram handles and the whole like.
Simple, Miss Organic _. That's my Instagram. That's where I post the most at the moment. I'm in the process of developing my new website, which will have more of my old blogs and my new blog content, things that I want to share and the topics that are important to me. And hopefully in the next month or two, there will be an ebook. So yeah, that's in the works, and that will be, I'm sure I'll talk all about it on my Instagram. But yeah, come and join us on Instagram and share the organic love.
I love
there
it.
we go.
Here, just want to say thanks very much. I appreciate you coming up or coming on to my podcast, and thanks very much for your time, which is so valuable. It's one thing you can't get back in life, so thanks very much for coming on. And
thanks, Coleman.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you do with all your organic food and fitness. And I know how inspiring you are to your community and everyone else. And yeah, just posting every day and showing your face and sharing the great things that you do. It's very important for people, and it does. It brings joy to people because, you know, we all go online a lot, and when you see a smiling face and someone doing what you're doing, it's inspiring for you to, or for people like me and everyone to continue their mission and to do what's important for them. So thank you.
No, you're so welcome. All right, we'll leave it there. I'm just going to hopefully push the end meeting and save it up. End all meeting.